This video is for the teachers, the office girlies, or anyone wanting to romanticize their 9 to 5 with Valentine's decor. Let's get crafting. My name is Jacqueline, and this is Crafting with Jacqueline. For DIY number 1, I picked up this love sign. It's actually an iron-on from Dollar Tree. And then I also picked up this round circle wood piece from Hobby Lobby for their spring collection. I did pick this one up last year. They had them at 90% off, so I believe I got it for under $1, but you can totally pick up one for it this year. I think their spring is currently out. And then I just picked up these browns. have had them in my stash since my coworker gave them to me, and I don't have any idea where she got them, but I'll go ahead and link some in the description below for you from Amazon. They're just like circles that they're like cut in half, and they're just these wood little pieces, and I glued those all around the wood piece using some hot glue. I then am going to take that iron-on piece that I got from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to hot glue this to the wood piece. I also have these wood hearts that I got in packs from Dollar Tree, and I have a few left over. I thought the wood pieces, like the plain wood ones, would be really cute, so I picked a really small one, and I'm going to add that to this piece using some hot glue. And to display this piece, I just picked up these little stands from Dollar Tree. They come in gold and black and I believe silver. I do have the other two colors, so I'm not 100% sure in silver, but I'm pretty sure. And then you could also pick up these easels, this wood easel that you can get from Dollar Tree as well. And I just thought I would show you guys how to put this together, because the instructions on there, actually, they're not really even instructions. It's just kind of like a picture of what you get inside. So I figured I would show you guys a little bit of how you could put this together if you did want to use this instead of the little stands. So there's 3 pieces that have holes at the very top, and you're going to put those together with the slanted sides on the edge, and then use one of the little screws and screw them all together. Then you're going to take the middle piece and kind of push it back to the back side so that you can have this standable. And then you're going to take the big piece of wood that's a little bit thicker, the leftover pieces, and you're going to screw the screw into that. And then the smaller piece will go on the outside of those 2 standing front pieces of wood. And then you're going to screw those together, clamping the 2 front pieces of wood. Hopefully that made sense and you guys can figure out how to make this using those instructions. And here I'm just showing you that it doesn't have to go on a desk. It could, with that easel, just be displayed as decor. DIY number 2 is going to be a painted candy jar. I picked up this candy jar with the syllable lid because I wanted to make sure that my candy would stay fresh, and I also bought this size instead of going for like a Dollar Tree one because I figured I could reuse this. So I'm using this Craft Smart acrylic paint that can be removed from the jar down the road, just either with some hot water or a little bit of acetone. And I'm using 3 colors. I'm going to be using this kind of beige color and then 2 colors in pink. I am doing some of the hearts completely filled in with the paint, and then I'm doing some of them as just outlines to give this a little bit more dimension to have like different types of parts all throughout. The pink colors were super opaque, and even the beige kind of had some spots that were kind of see-through. So I did go through after these dried and went through with a second and sometimes even a third coat of paint. Once all of the paint was dry though, I did go through and wash the jar itself to get ready for the candy to go in. And as you can see right here, I do have a tiny bit that came off with just the hot water that I was using, so this can be reused for other jars in the future. but it's kind of fun to give it a little bit of Valentine's look with all the hearts. Now, I thought it would be really fun to do some pinks and reds for the candy jar, so I just picked up all of these candies that came in just pinks and reds, starting off with these Swedish candy, the Bubs. I thought they were really good, so I did those, some peach sours, and then of course some Sour Patch gummies in both the watermelon and the strawberry. And then some of my absolute favorites are the Haribo watermelons. So, or how do you say that brand? Haribo, however you say them. And then Swedish Fish themselves. And lastly, I found these Juicy nerd clusters. And honestly, they are so good. They were the perfect color for the mix, and also just they have like this gush to them. Oh, they're just yummy. I recommend trying them if you haven't already. But then I just mixed them all in the bowl, and then I went ahead and transferred them to the jar. The reason I didn't put them in the jar originally was because I wanted to be able to really mix these, and I figured if I put them into the jar, I wouldn't be able to truly mix them good enough to really kind of get a little bit of everything with each pull. Because I wanted to take this to my office, I did think that I would add a little tongs that I got from Dollar Tree, just with a little bit of a ribbon. That way people can grab a little piece of that they want instead of putting their hands in or anything like that. And then I also got these cute little cups that I got from Dollar Tree as well. I believe they were actually $3 instead of like the $1.50, but I thought they were absolutely perfect. For DIY number 3, we are going to be doing a heart-shaped bush that I've been seeing around. And with my 2026 resolutions, it's going to be shop your home. So instead of going out and buying one of those foam hearts, which would be so much easier to do this with, I decided to shop my home. And I already knew that I had this foam laying around. And then I also had this wire heart piece that I bought years ago. I believe I actually got it from Joann. They had a pack of 3, so I do have 3 different sizes. So I picked up the smallest size, and then I'm using this foam that I do have, and I'm just kind of outlining where the heart shape will go around, and then I'm going to glue all of these pieces together. Now I know the foam hearts would be absolutely so much easier, so I highly recommend doing that instead of this method, but I'm just showing you what I am doing to create this. I know Dollar Tree used to sell the styrofoam hearts, but I believe Walmart still does, so I'll go ahead and link that for you guys below. After I cut all that foam out, I started to hot glue this one piece, and then I got a tiny bit overstimulated by all of the mess. So I vacuumed up my mess and came back to a clean desk, and then I hot glued the remaining pieces together to make the heart shape. And then I used that wire outline and kept them together, just hot gluing the edges of the wire to the outside of the foam. I then am going to take some Dollar Tree bushes, and I originally thought I was going to do a bunch of different varieties, and so I picked up a ton of them, but I ended up deciding I just liked these kind. I don't know what they're called, but I think they worked really good. And I kind of folded them in half. I took them off of the bush, and then I folded them in half and stuck them into the foam itself, because both ends were kind of pointy and kind of were able to stick in and kind of hold sturdy. So I just kept continuing to do that, taking them off of the actual branches and then sticking them into the foam, and continued until the entire foam heart was filled. And I definitely think that it would have looked better if I did the entire thing, but I only had enough for one side, and I do think it looks okay, but I do think I'm going to probably finish this another time, just by finishing the other side, going back to Dollar Tree and getting a couple more, and then finishing the back side. Or I could maybe put some roses. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if I should put some roses on the other side or continue with the greenery. But anyways, I then took a little stick dowel rod that I got and also stick that through the foam. And then I'm taking a little pot and sticking some foam down inside of that, and then sticking the dowel rod right into the foam. And then to keep this down in place, you could hot glue it to the pot itself, but I like to reuse my pots for actual plants, real life plants, in the springtime. So I'm just going to fill this with some rocks around the edges to keep the foam in place. And to cover the rocks and the foam, I just used some tinsel that I had left over from last week's video, the Dollar Tree DIYs for Valentine's Day. And here is how this one turned out. I love it. I think it's so cute. But I do still want to finish the backside, so let me know if I should do the roses so that I can flip from roses to the bush, or if I should just continue with the bush theme. For DIY number 4, we are going to be making a vase out of this heart box that you can get from Dollar Tree, and also this cylinder that we're going to be using for the actual vase part I got from a Lego set. It's like a vase itself, but you can just use these spray bottles or any kind of container that you can get from Dollar Tree, or anything that you have on hand. I know some of you have saved spice bottles that you can repurpose for this exact thing. If you've saved the empty ones for any reason, this is the perfect reason for now. Just take one of those and you can add it for this box. So I just added my little cylinder inside, made sure that the top was facing upwards, and I'm going to cut a little piece so that the stems from the flowers will go inside of that piece. And I am just going to make it big enough that when I do have the lid placed back on it, the lid will not cover the hole. So you kind of need to make the hole pretty far back. And then I just cut that out. And then once I've got that cut out, I'm just going to paint this entire thing white. You don't have to, you could totally leave this the colors that it is, but I thought it was cute and matched my decor a little bit better, painted white. And I'm just using the Waverly chalk paint because it's kind of thicker and I only need 1 to 2 coats to cover the full red color. Once the paint has fully dried, I can take that container and hot glue it to the base. And the reason that we're doing this on this slant is so that it can stand up without needing any extra support. So we're kind of making the heart shape slanted to the side. And then for the florals that go inside, I am taking these 2 pieces that I have in my floral box, and I am actually taking them and adding them back to a stem. They originally came on a stem, so I wouldn't need to do this if I already had them on the stem, but I'm just wrapping them around one more time. And then I'm taking each piece of 3 and I'm going to wrap them down into kind of like a half heart shape, and then I'm zip tying it to the stem so that I can give this a heart shape based on around these white little flowers. I think it's so cute and will give such a cute element to this little heart-shaped vase. I then just took off the extra from the zip ties. I then am just going to be adding a couple different flowers to this little heart piece to give it a little bit more something. So I'm adding some pinks, a couple of whites, and a purple flower that I got from Michael's, and I believe the white ones are actually from Dollar Tree. Don't forget to like this video if anything has been inspiring, or if you think that you should be crafting too. And to keep this flower arrangement in place a little bit better, I also zip tied all of these stems together really tightly so that this wouldn't move around so much, and like the heart wouldn't fall so that you couldn't see it, just to keep them in place. Once they were looking awesome, I added a couple rocks to the vase so that it will stay in place and won't topple over once we put the flowers in. And then I stuck the flowers in, and I love the way this one looks. It actually made me so happy that I immediately, after I was done, ran over to my husband and was like, look how cute! This one honestly might be my favorite from the entire video. I just think it's too good. I do love that wood with the love on it too. They're both super simple, but I just like this one so much. For DIY number 5, we are going to be doing a large mouse pad and we're going to be covering it in vinyl. So to be able to do that, I am just going to do some removable vinyl, but I'm first going to get my design. So I first go to Canva and I am going to do a custom size for the mat size so that everything will lay out perfectly. So my mat size was a 23.6 by 11.8. And then I just have to make sure that it's in inches. And then I go ahead and create that. And then this is where it's fun and you can decide which element that you want. So I go to the elements and then I type in what I want. So I decided that I loved the idea of like a heartbeat with a heart in it. So I looked for a design that I thought would be perfect. And I found one up at the top that I thought would be really good. So then I scrolled back to it and added it to my page. And then once it's on my page, I decide what size I want and how I want it to be displayed onto my mat itself. And I decided that I think it would be really cool to have it kind of at the bottom, kind of so that when I'm having my like laptop on the mat itself, that the mouse would kind of be on that big heart. I thought that would be kind of cool. And because I didn't buy smart vinyl for this and I kind of wanted to use some Dollar Tree vinyl that I do have as well, I decided that I was going to crop this image into 3 sections so that I can just use one 12 by 12 sheet of paper or vinyl to cut this out. So I went ahead and cropped 3 sections of this page. And this works really well because there is straight lines. So I can just go ahead and line them up perfectly. And I think it'll work just so perfect. Once I have everything placed where I want them, I go ahead and save my image as an SVG, and this will help me so that when I go to Cricut Design, it'll be easy to transfer to that. So then I go to upload and I'll go ahead and browse my uploads, take the image and then save it and add it to my Cricut Design space. Once it has been added, I go ahead and make sure that the sizing is correct again. So I'll go ahead and size it to the exact size of my mat, so that 23.6 by the 11.8. And you can do this by, if it's off a little bit, there is a little button down at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it next to that basic cut, and then there's the width. You can have that little unlock button and then you can just type in the exact amount that you want. But because this image was coming from Canva, it was already the size that I really wanted it. So really I just had to get it to that basic size and then it was going to be perfect. So once I've got the sizing correct, then I'm just going to duplicate this image 3 times and then contour the section that I don't want. And the reason that I do this is because right now this image, it's all going to be one size or one image, and it's going to try and print or cut out this entire thing. And I don't have a mat that big, or I can't really use my smart vinyl to print that large. So I am going to take these images, contour, so that I only have one section for each little image. And that way I can also manipulate it so that when I can move these images to one mat versus having them all on separate mats. I'll hopefully be able to show you a little bit more of what I mean in the next little section. So we'll go ahead and make it. And then right here, as you can see, I am moving one image to the next mat and manipulating where these arrange so that I can fit them all on one mat. Is this pretty common knowledge for Cricut users, or is this something that you have learned today? Let me know in the comments below. Once the vinyl has been cut, I'll go ahead and weed out the remaining vinyl off of these. And then I'll take some of the contact paper. I usually use contact paper because I think it's easier, just some like clear contact paper from Dollar Tree. And I'll go ahead and use that to transfer my image onto this mat, making sure that the pieces are going to fit just in case before I fully start putting them on. And then I'll go ahead and use the transfer tape to put them onto the mat. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but I just wanted to go over it again. I am using removable vinyl. The reason that I'm using this removable vinyl is just because I think it would be really cool to do this for each season. So I can use a mat, this white mat, for every season and change it out just with the removable vinyl every time instead of just having one per season. I think it's a little bit more budget friendly and also helps with the planet from reducing, reusing, and recycling, right? It's a little bit more of like a recycling type thing, but let me know what you guys think. Should I have done like HTV and really made this secure, or is this going to be okay with just the removable vinyl? I think it will be okay based on like season to season because I'm not going to be using it for a very long time. Even though the mouse will probably lift up some of the vinyl here and there, I honestly think it won't be too bad unless you're using Dollar Tree vinyl the entire time. But I am only using the Dollar Tree vinyl for certain sections of this, so I really don't think it'll be too bad. So with this Dollar Tree vinyl, it is really bad and really hard to stick. So I do recommend when you're using it to go ahead and peel back some of the pieces and then place them back down without any of those like lifts and grooves, so that when it prints nice and easy. But I know this Dollar Tree vinyl, sparkly vinyl, is really difficult to work with. And honestly, I don't know if Dollar Tree stopped carrying vinyl in general. Has your store stopped selling vinyl, or is it just my store getting lower in stock? Let me know. But anyways, I ended up deciding that I just wanted the vinyl for the sparkle part to just be on the heart. So I cut that little part out and I'm going to attach that directly on top of the other vinyl. This is so that it can be secured a little bit better, just because that Dollar Tree vinyl, I have a feeling, will lift up a lot more than this regular Cricut vinyl will. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap that around the heart. And if you know me or have seen any of my other previous videos, then you know that I am not a perfectionist at all. So the fact that I had to cut a little piece of this heart out to be able to remove it from the mat, and I accidentally cut it a little bit too close, so you can see a little bit of the ivory poking through. Doesn't bother me, but I'm so sorry if it bothers you or annoys you. Anyways, so then I just cut out a few more hearts and I'm going to place them throughout the entire mat. I think it's really cute to just have a bunch of different sizes, so I did just cut out a few just free-handed and then place them onto the mat itself, and some of them you can also use with your Cricut as well. It's so simple, but really elevates your desk, and I think it's really fun and kind of whimsical to have different colors and themes for each season. So this is the last bit of the desk DIYs for today. Thank you guys so much for watching till the very end. If you did like this video so much, maybe go ahead and check out one of these other ones that you might also enjoy. Happy crafting!